Hi, this is Lottie Ferris Knowles with the Hollywood Times, and I am here today with a very inspirational person, a musician, and the figure behind a new documentary, Eric Kinkel, in the Chicagoland area. And he is joined by his producer, Kristen Todoroff, one of his producers, on the new documentary called In Search of His Lost Chords, which chronicles his story of the accomplishments he's had in his life, but then the loss of his voice in the last few years due to deep brain trauma. So, we're going to talk to Eric today and find out a little bit more about your story. So, Eric, just to start off, can you explain for people watching a little bit about your condition, how it started, and how it's progressed?
In late 2019, I was at work listening to my MP3 player with earbuds. While singing along, my mouth suddenly went dry and my tongue became wildly dysfunctional. I thought, what the heck is going on here? So I went to my dentist because it appeared to be an oral issue. He thought he saw something unusual, then sent me to an oral surgeon who found nothing wrong. It wasn't until late 2021 that I completely lost my vocal cord functions, making me unable to speak intelligibly or sing. I think that I probably suffered some type of brain trauma that had been overlooked because I was dismissed when I brought it up. I've spent the last 4 to 5 years seeking answers, only to have specialists say there's nothing we can see that's wrong. I've seen over 20 doctors, hospitals, and specialists who all have dismissed my detailed notes about each symptom and when they occurred and how they progressed and worsened. The path I took with conventional medicine did not give me any answers, just more frustration and despair.
Yeah, it is sadly, I think something a
I
lot of
had previously
people.
been an active
Oh, sorry.
concert performer who self produced and put on.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Yes, everybody, as you can see, we've got the assistance of AI here
Yeah.
to help Eric, tell his story to all of us. Well, I just want to say, Eric, I'm so sorry that that's been your experience with the medical community. Unfortunately, I think there are many people out there with chronic, rare, other types of conditions who would probably very much relate to that. And, let us hope that the oncoming science is going to be much better at diagnosing what's going on with you. So, on a more exciting note, I would love to hear a little bit more about your career as a musician and singer, and just tell us some of the highlights.
I had previously been an active concert performer who self produced and put on 5 benefit concerts, 3 of which were to raise funds for my late sister Linda Kinkel's in home health care. The
Mm.
cost fell to my family after her husband abandoned her while she was bedridden with chronic progressive MS. The other 2 benefit concerts were for other charities I donated proceeds to, like the MDS Foundation, and funds to help me get a supraventricular tachycardia ablation surgery I so desperately needed after living with a severe form of SVT for 40 years.
Wow.
I had also been an active recording artist who self wrote, recorded, and sold my recording online before my vocal cord malfunctions set in. I used to be an active person, always planning new projects, writing new songs with my once gifted voice, living the life I planned to live while I worked for 39 years in both the non-for-profit sectors and commercial businesses too. I continued to be active person. After I retired. For about 6 years after I retired, I gave private guitar lessons out of my home,
Mm.
where I taught many students the rudimentary skills to play the guitar and beyond.
That's very cool. Wow, what an inspiration. I mean, the fact that, and you've been through a hell of a lot in this life between your other medical condition, losing
Rick,
your sister, that's
That.
a lot, but you also achieved an incredible amount. And one thing I want to shout out that I thought was so cool is that in high school, you were able to bring the band Rush to your
Absolutely
school to talk. And I love Rush, so that is like
cool.
awesome. Yeah, so cool. So, also, I just want to say too that Eric was responsible for a memorial monument to Ted Nugent's late mother that's outside a venue called Dirty Nellies. Is that correct?
Yep.
Dirty Nellies is, yeah. So Eric has done a lot of cool stuff in your time. So I'd like to find out, what is your relationship with music like now since you've lost your voice? Are you still playing, composing, um, jamming with other people?
Rarely do I write, since I lost my other instrument, my vocal cords. I do occasionally keep up both my guitar and piano skills. Right now, I'm focusing on recovering my brain and vocal cord functions, and I'm on a self-imposed sabbatical from music. It's simply too exhausting and anguishing to try anything without my original singing voice I was gifted with at birth.
Yeah, that makes a lot of
Rarely do
sense.
I write. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I hope, that you will be able to return to that thing that you love very soon. Um, I know that the medical advice and treatment you've received so far has not been helpful, but can you tell us, not just about that journey, but what is your hope for the future in terms of, what you may find in terms of a solution?
My quest is a lofty one, seeking to usurp both traditional and conventional medicine, as they rely too heavily on ignorance and dismissal, with no regard for my previous talent as a vocalist and recording artist musician. My desire is that I reach researchers of notoriety who have access to both quantum computing models and AI technologies,
Mhm.
those who are on the cusp of realizing recoveries from my brain trauma and a host of human afflictions beyond mine.
Hmm. Yes, that's very cool. Well, that is something, that I hope we can all follow that journey. Kristen, maybe you could tell us, because this is an off-the-cuff question. Are there going to be updates, or Eric, you can say yes or no. Are there going to be updates on your journey, if you meet with people on your website and that kind of thing?
Absolutely. I mean, I once we will hopefully find some specific science-based researchers that want to try to help. We'll definitely share all those good news stories, hopefully, as we continue the quest and get the word out locally and nationally.
Fantastic. Thank you. Well, one of the ways you are getting the word out is through this documentary. And so I'd love to hear just a little bit about how that project came about.
After 4 to 5 years exhausting my time, money, and effort on traditional conventional medicine, which failed to deliver any promising solutions, desperation and frustration led me to start producing my documentary. All they did was ignore my pleas to find the actual root cause and were incapable of finding any realistic interventions. Instead, they cast aside all of my detailed notes and symptomatology. While gaslighting me as an unintelligent human, they also never considered my lifelong role as a singer and musician. After diligent self awareness and self research and attention to recent discoveries I know are available to medical research,
Hmm.
such as access to quantum computer models and
Wow.
combined AI technology that is now surfacing as prominent research tools for a myriad of human afflictions that can be reversed for the good of all humanity. These
Man.
tools are being ignored or cast aside. I came to see the failed traditional medical community as an arm of big pharma instead of being empathetic because all they did was to continue to prescribe ineffective and often harmful medications and
Right.
injections that did more to hurt than help. I decided it was time for me to reflect not only on my entire life before the brain trauma, and in a broad outline, tell my life story and struggles to recover the vocal cords I was gifted with at birth through my documentary.
Fantastic. Yeah, people talk a lot about what's bad that's coming with AI, but I think the medical field is one where there's going to be a lot of good and interesting stuff that will hopefully be coming down the pike quite soon. Um, Kristen, do you want to just briefly jump in and talk about you getting involved with the documentary and the process of making
Sure.
it?
Sure. So I met Eric back in July because a good friend of mine actually was the host and narrator of the film. So
Yeah,
she introduced me to Eric, and I since have been helping him with just personal assistance, health advocate, as well as
Right.
helping him with mostly the post-production type of
Hmm.
things at this point, because he was mostly done with the main production of the film, but a lot of tweaks in post-production, images, cleaning up. I've also helped with a lot of marketing and graphics, locally, posters, postcards, things like that, social media. I
Hmm.
created the website for the film.
Great.
So just helping him out, keeping things running with all these interviews we've had scheduled. So yeah, it's been just very inspiring getting to know Eric and becoming friends, and just I feel for his limitations right now. I mean, it's
Right.
take for granted that we can pick up the phone and call someone, or have a Zoom meeting, or call and make a doctor's appointment. I mean, things
Yeah.
that you take for granted. And
Absolutely.
especially, people looking at Eric might think, oh, he looks fine. What could be wrong? But in addition to the vocal cord damage, he does have some physical challenges based others based because
Hmm.
of the brain trauma, and just
Of
really
course.
trying to um, get the root of his life back. And the definitive trait that he had all his life is singing and talking to friends, and that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Absolutely. Well, I'm so glad that you found each other and got involved with this. So, when people are watching the documentary or even just watching this interview, what's kind of the main thing that you want them to know or to take away from this?
I encourage anyone who is dealing with trauma to do their own research and avoid the conventional medical community that has no interest in being tethered to science. Think outside the box and seek out things that are being suppressed or ignored by many.
Mm-hmm.
I hope to strike a nerve with those of notoriety who have the access to the research I mentioned earlier, and to touch those who are musicians who take for granted their vocal capability because it's actually a fragile brain function.
Hmm. Yeah, so true. Yeah, and we all, I think, have had experiences where we realize how much we have to advocate for ourselves and each other with the medical community because a lot of times there is gaslighting, like you said earlier, complacency, lack of knowledge, all of those things. So I think that's a wonderful message. So, last question is, how can people support you in your journey going forward with all of this?
So Eric has a website for the film. It's in search of hislostchords.com, and make sure that's chords, CORDS, as in
Okay,
vocal cords. So we have the trailer on there. We'll be adding the link to the full length film on that website as well. There's also some photos from local screenings that we've had. Also, he is on Facebook in search of his lost chords again. So there's always updates there. And
great.
yeah, the Vimeo link will be available for anyone to watch. So we'll be definitely promoting that as well, and just trying to spread the word through, organically, friends, family, just sharing everything we can.
Fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. Well, so it sounds like the answer is spread the word. What people can do is spread the word about your journey, your story, and of course the website and the film, correct?
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Well, thank you both so much. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your mission statement. And Eric, I am absolutely rooting for you to get back to
Thank you,
the
Lottie.
place you were and to be able to keep creating and rocking, as Ted Nugent says in that one
You
in
got
one
it.
of
You
his
got it.
quotes.
You got
Yeah.
it. I will. Thank you very much, Lottie.
Thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you. You're so welcome.